In this section, we will explore how JPMorgan Chase profited from Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking operation by allowing him to funnel money among his various shell companies. According to a lawsuit filed by the U.S. Virgin Islands government, JPMorgan Chase knew that Epstein was a convicted sex offender and that he was using his accounts to pay for his illicit activities on his private island, where he abused underage girls and young women. The lawsuit alleges that JPMorgan Chase violated federal laws by failing to report suspicious transactions and by enabling Epstein to evade detection and prosecution. The lawsuit also claims that JPMorgan Chase benefited financially from Epstein's sex trafficking, as it collected fees and commissions from his accounts and provided him with high-end banking services. One of the key figures in this scandal is Jess Staley, a former executive at JPMorgan Chase who had a close relationship with Epstein. Staley visited Epstein's island several times and allegedly assaulted some of his victims while helping finance his crimes. Staley left JPMorgan Chase in 2013 and became the CEO of Barclays, a British bank. However, he was recently sued by JPMorgan Chase, which accused him of lying about his ties to Epstein and causing reputational damage to the company. JPMorgan Chase is not the only bank that has been implicated in Epstein's sex trafficking ring. Deutsche Bank, a German bank, is also facing a lawsuit from one of Epstein's victims, who accuses the bank of knowingly facilitating his crimes. The lawsuit alleges that Deutsche Bank ignored red flags and allowed Epstein to move millions of dollars through his accounts, even after he was arrested on federal sex trafficking charges in 2019. Both JPMorgan Chase and Deutsche Bank have denied having knowledge of Epstein's alleged crimes and have tried to dismiss the lawsuits against them. However, a federal judge has ruled that the lawsuits can move forward, as there are legal questions that need to be answered. The judge will examine whether the banks knowingly benefited from participating in a sex trafficking venture, whether they obstructed enforcement of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, and whether they negligently failed to exercise reasonable care to prevent harm. The lawsuits against JPMorgan Chase and Deutsche Bank are part of a larger effort to hold accountable the enablers and accomplices of Epstein's sex trafficking operation. Many prominent figures, such as former presidents Donald Trump and Bill Clinton, have been linked to Epstein and his island. Some of them, such as Google founder Larry Page, are facing lawsuits from the Virgin Islands government as well. The victims of Epstein's abuse are seeking justice and compensation for the harm they suffered at the hands of one of the most notorious pedophiles in history. In this section, we will explore how JPMorgan Chase obstructed federal law enforcement and prosecuting agencies pursuing Epstein by failing to report suspicious activity by the convicted pedophile. JPMorgan Chase was Epstein's main bank for over a decade, providing him with various financial services and access to large sums of cash. The bank was aware of numerous sex abuse and trafficking allegations against Epstein, and overlooked them for several years before the financial institution cut ties with him in 2013. According to a lawsuit filed by the Attorney General for the U.S. Virgin Islands, USVI, JPMorgan Chase executives were also aware of potentially suspicious cash withdrawals by Epstein, who routinely made cash withdrawals in amounts from $40,000 to $80,000 several times per month, totaling over $750,000 per year. The lawsuit alleges that JPMorgan Chase obstructed federal law enforcement and prosecuting agencies that were pursuing Epstein by failing to report these transactions as required by law. The lawsuit also claims that JPMorgan Chase executives knew about sex abuse claims against Epstein as early as 2006, when he was accused of paying cash to have underage girls and young women brought to his home.